Hello, my beautiful souls. It's Julia. Today we are going into business strategy. It's the middle of the month, and I've been speaking with a lot of you who are sort of panicking about how you're going to make your money. And I get it. The reason why you're doing what you're doing is so that you can have your fulfilling life and so that you can have your money coming in. So thank you for joining. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to help you out with a business strategy for how you're going to make more money this month. And I'd like for you to start what I'm going to give you today so that even if you don't reach your goal by the end of this month, because it's pretty much, around 15 days, you're going to have ramped yourself up to that position where you're able to carry forward what I'm about to say, so that you can make October, November, December some of your greatest months for this year. And that's really what I want for you. I want you to have a profitable plus fulfilling business, and I want more women successful in their business ventures because I know your heart. The reason you're doing the things you're doing is for your betterment, for your family, for your values, the things that you value the most, but it's also to better the world. And I'm all for that, for businesses that better the world in one way, shape, or other. All right, so let's get to it. So this is the thing, we have to start out with really clear goals. We have to write down everything that we're going to do. And this is important because it's the difference between achieving your goal and not achieving your goal. So for starters, I want you to write down exactly how much you want to make for this month. Now, if you're like me, a lot of times you're going to write out your goal and then things will happen during the month that will throw you off. And you find yourself maybe trying to bring that goal a little bit down. Like, so if you started off with a money goal, you find yourself bringing that money goal down or getting to that place where you're uncertain until you're like, I hope to make this much. Or you're like, if I made this much, it would be nice. So it goes back into the abstract world. But what I've learned to do over time is to stay true to the goal, but to adjust my plan and to hold my goal loosely. And by that, I mean to really set a clear goal, but to also allow a lot of room. And for me, what I say is for God to show up, because things will happen. And if you're not easily, if you're not in a position to easily adjust your goal or to go with the flow or to innovate yourself, then you find yourself in a lot of trouble because you're in an environment that is constantly changing and constantly going to throw things at you, and life will always happen, right? Okay, so set out your money goal. And then the second thing is I want you to look at your products and services, and I want you to pick the ones in which you know that you will achieve your money goal fastest. So if you are in insurance or real estate or travel agent or any one of those, if you're a coach, any one of those industries, as an example, I want you to look at all your offerings and don't go for the smallest amount and don't go for the one that people buy the most. I want you to challenge yourself to go for the most expensive package that you have, the most expensive offering that you have, the one that's going to allow you to reach your goal, because you need fewer people. And that's really the idea behind this, is what can you sell in which you need fewer people to buy that will allow you to hit your goal. And this is challenging you not to think of your goals in terms of small money, but I want you to start thinking big, because this is how we're going to make that big money, right? So I want you to think about the packages and the services that you can sell, and I want you to write down that value amount. Next, you're going to do the math and you're going to figure out how many of these you need to sell to reach your money goal. Okay, so this is a lot of paper and pen kind of type activity, and I like those because it gets you thinking and it gets you moving, and it also gets you putting down what you're thinking in your mind, but it also helps you end up making decisions. And really what I see is why a lot of people run into trouble is because they don't make decisions. They don't decide resolutely what it is that they want or what they're going for or what it is that they're trying for. So, let's assume that you need to sell to 5 people. You need 5 people to say yes. So your 5 people need to say yes, and you're going to hit your money goal. Okay, so I'm just writing this down for you. And if 5 people say yes and you're going to hit your money goal, then you're going to make around $5,000 for the month. I'm just giving an example. And what that means is that you need to sell, $1,000 packages to 5 people. That's specific. I want you to write down that specific. And then I want you to put a timeline. So let's say this is September 16th, and you give yourself 30 days to hit your money goal, or 15 days, whatever, or 90 or 100, it doesn't matter. But I want you to give yourself the number of days that you are setting intentionally to hit your money goal. So the number of days that you need so that you can make your $5,000. Now, if you don't have the experience of doing this, so you have no idea how many days it's going to take, well, I'll give you a very loose rule of thumb. If you work Monday to Friday, or if you work 5 days, then you're looking at 20 working days. So if you give yourself 30 days to hit your goal, then you know that for about 20 of those days, you're going to work really hard at this. And that gives you a leeway of about 10 days. And what that means is that you can work on those 10 days, or you can rest on those 10 days, or you can use those 10 days as buffers, because things will happen. If you are not well, let's say for 3 days, that's okay. You still can take from the 10-day bucket. If something happened in your family, or some emergency, you can still take from the 10-day bucket. Okay, good. All right. Now for the 5 sales that you need to make, you need to speak with people so that they can buy from you. And the rule of thumb when it comes to sales is that 1 out of 4 people will say yes. That means that 3 people will say no to you for their own reasons, and it's not personal. And it's time that you don't take things personally. It's not personal. People have their reasons for saying no, the same way you have your reasons for saying no to people's requests. So 1 out of 4 people will say yes. Now, I use 5 people. And the reason I use 5 is because for a lot of you, you aren't yet at that place where you can close with 3 people or 4 people or even 2 people. So I say 5 because it gives you that leeway. So our assumption for today is that 1 out of 5 people will say yes to you. What does this mean? That means that for your 5 sales, you need to talk to 5 people for each sale, right? So if you do the math, that means that you need to speak with 25 people. And by speak, I mean do a demo, have a sales conversation, have an interaction in which you ask for money, and they either say yes or they say no. So those are 25 people. You with me? Okay. Now to speak with those 25 people, you need to speak with an average of 5 people for each one. The reason for this is that you might set your appointments, but out of your 5 appointments, only 1 person is actually going to end up on the phone with you, or is going to meet you at the coffee shop, or is going to have the Zoom call with you, or is going to click your link and watch your video, or whatever it is that you're using as the means to get the person to speak with you. And I'll go into that a little later on, because by now I'm sure you're panicking already about the 25 people you need to speak with. You're like, Julia, I don't have 25 people to speak with. So you need to plan for 5 people, to reach 5 people for every one that you're going to actually have a conversation with. Because 1 may cancel, 1 may not show up, 1 may reschedule, 1 may decide that they don't need your services, and then the 5th one will actually be on the phone with you or meet you or whatever means that you're using to speak with them. And out of that 1, you need to speak with 5 of them, because 1 of them will say yes and the other 4 will say no, either because of price, timing. Usually it's because of price and time. Those are the 2 major things that stand in the way of people saying yes to you. All right, so we're looking at about 125 people that you need to reach in order to sell to 5 people. Now, I've heard of quite a few coaches who say that this is not necessary, that you just need to highly target your 5 people and you'll get your 5 people. And that's great. But what I want you to consider is the amount of time that you need and the level of intelligence that you must have about your customer so that you know the exact 5 to target for those exact 5 people to say yes to you. Now, the people that I coach in this world, that just, it's not gonna happen. So you need to reach 125 people so that you can sell 5 people at $1,000 each to make you $5,000 using my example. How do we do this? Because if you're honest, you're slightly panicking about that 125 number. So the 125 is where your marketing efforts come in. And that's really the primary focus of your marketing. Your marketing is to bring you the 125 people that you can speak with. And out of them, 5 people are going to actually trade money for the value that you're providing. And how you do this is, remember that I said that if you take an average of 5 days from the week that you're working, you're looking at about 20 days a month. Well, if you divide 125 by the 20 days, you're looking at about 6 people a day. So it's actually not that serious. It's not that intimidating if you allow it. And 6 people could be from anywhere. So as an example, one of the tools you could use is what I'm doing right now, where you have a video where you offer value, and then you offer the opportunity for someone to sign up to speak with you, right? And if you do this and you have maybe 30 people who watch your video, then out of the 125, you reach 30 people. So you can count that. If you have an email list and you send out value and you ask for people to have a conversation with you, you can include that number as well. If you have a speaking engagement in which you are going and offering value, and the event organizers allow you an opportunity to offer a sales conversation at the end, you can include those numbers. So this is where your marketing efforts come in. Now, I want you to look at your marketing calendar. So basically just your calendar. And then look at how many opportunities you set up for yourself so that you can speak with 125 people for the month. This would be networking events. This would be events in which you're speaking, events in which you're in a panel, could be podcasts, could be articles that you're writing, could be videos that you're making. This could be your email list. Think about all the marketing efforts that you have. For a lot of you who are in real estate and travel agents, I know that you use the flyers and the posters, so you want to include that as well. The only thing with using things like flyers and posters is that all you know is just how many posters you handed out, right? Like, so if you handed out 400, that's all you know. And you might sit down and say, oh, I handed out 400 posters. I'm just going to sit back and wait for people to call me. And then you wonder why people aren't calling you. So the reason why I highly advocate speaking with people, either live or on video, or sending or using your email marketing or anything like that, is because they give you analytics in which you're able to see how many people received your information, how many people were engaged by it. And this way you have a better handle on what you need to do. So for example, if you find that your video, only 2 people watched it and nothing happened, then what you need to do then is you need to figure out how to get another 2 people to hear your message, right? And I want you to be in this place, and this is going to be really, really important for you. I want you to be in this space in which you're always thinking, how can I connect with more people? How can I do more? What else can I do? Because I wish I could tell you that all you need to do is just sit down and things will happen for you. I wish I could tell you that things would just happen for you consistently if you just put out the intention and just take a seat. It's not going to happen. And it's very easy to get discouraged when you don't get the results that you want. And I'm not saying this lightly. I'm saying this as someone who's constantly putting stuff out there. And sometimes I hit my numbers and sometimes I don't. A lot of times I don't get the results that I want. And sometimes I get results that just blow me away. But the one thing that I do is I remain consistent. And that's because I am deeply connected with my why. I'm deeply connected with the why I do what I do. And you need to do that as well for yourself. You need to really, really understand why you're doing what you're doing, why this is important for you to achieve, and what you're going to do with the results that you achieve, right? And when you have this governing you, then your direction, you find that you're more committed to the direction, you're more committed to the work that's involved. So to get your 125 people, using my example, and this is just so that you can make your $5,000 a month. Now, really, this figure, change it. However, some of you, $5,000 a month would be heaven. There are others who hit that easily. And what I'll ask you to do then is just quadruple that amount, or whatever amount it is that you're currently making, quadruple it and start reaching for higher goals. So look at the 125 people that you have listed down. Take your calendar, right? So I use several calendars. I use a physical calendar, this one. I also use the calendar on my phone, and I also use the huge wall calendar, the one that outlines for the year, because I do understand the importance of writing things down, but I also have things on my phone's calendar so that I'm intentional about the space that I have for what, right? Do I have space for more speaking engagements? Do I have space to help someone? Do I have space for more clients? And when you know and you have a good handle on your schedule, then it really helps you. It doesn't matter if you have a family, or it doesn't matter if you're in a situation in which things get thrown at you. You need to create your calendar and then allow those things to work around that, and it's going to work for you. So for example, if you find that you are a parent of young children, then you know that, maybe one day you plan to work all day, but that's the day when your child decided that they were not feeling well. So that takes away about 5 hours of your day. Well, it's really important to still plan out your time so that more likely than not, you're going to hit your goals. So even if your child took up maybe 5 of your 8 hours, then you know that you have 3 hours in which you can still focus on your activities. And if you have a focus such as knowing that I need to reach 125 people so that I can have my 5 sales conversations, so that I can make my 1 sale, right? Then, 125 people so that I can make my 5 sales, which will give me my $5,000, then this is going to push you to really use your time well. Where I find people run into trouble is when they have goals that they want to hit, but they have no idea how they're going to hit them, and then they end up wasting their time, so the actual time they have. So for example, one of my peers and a friend, she's a multiple 6-figure businesswoman, and she has very young children. What she would do is she would look at how many people she needs to reach out to, and then throw in 30-minute segments in her day in which she would really focus on reaching out to those people. And this is what she could do. So she wasn't able to set aside 3 or 4 hours or 5 hours or 8 hours like many people can or can't, but she was able to throw in those 30-minute slots, 45-minute slots, and she was very intentional about it. And that's how she made her multiple 6 figures. When I was working a full-time job, I would wake up and work from 4 in the morning until 7 in the morning, and then get ready to go to my full-time job, and then come home and work from 6 p.m. until around 10 p.m. on my business. And that's what worked for me. So, when you look at that, you're thinking, wow, it means you have no life. And that's true. I did sacrifice a lot during that time, but that's what enabled me to leave that very comfortable government job so that I could do my own thing. So I want you to remember with your sacrifices also that there is a time limit. You're not setting yourself up to do this for the rest of your life. You're setting yourself up to do this so that you can get to the place where you don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore, right? Because you're going to be in a better position down the line. So even when I was working, say from 4 in the morning till 7, and then again in the evening, and all my weekends and all my vacation time and all my spare time, I was doing that so that I could buy back my time, so that I could go into this full time and just work on this full time. And even now, I still do have a schedule, because if you don't have a schedule, you waste a lot of time and you don't hit your goals, and then you wonder why you're so broke. So I'm gonna run through this again. Set your goal for the month. How much do you want to make? How much do you want to make? Write down that figure. And when you're writing down that figure, you're going to notice that there's a lot of energy around it. You're going to find yourself thinking, for some of you, it's a given. You're just going to write down how much you want to make and you're good with that. But for a lot of you, you're going to be feeling that angst and anxiety around writing the figure down. A part of you may be feeling like, I don't know if I can hit this. Another part will be like, I don't know if this is not enough. Another part may feel like I need way more than this and I need it like tomorrow. So just allow for those feelings to take place and pay attention to them, because these are the feelings that are telling you exactly how you feel about making that kind of money. And you want to pay attention to that so that you can start taking care of it. And I'm going to go into that specific money mindset at a later date. But for today, I first wanted to give you the strategy to use so that you can bring your money in. So for the purposes of today, the example I'm using is you want to make $5,000 and you want to do this using your products and services that are $1,000 each. So that means you need to sell to 5 people $1,000 packages so that you can make your $5,000 for the month. So the first thing you're doing is you're writing down that your money goal. So in this example, it's $5,000. And then you're writing your timeline. In how many days do you want this? And for this example, you're writing 30 days. And while you write 30 days in brackets, you can put 20 days because 20 days is 5 days of the week that you intend to work. And the good thing about putting less than 30 days is it gives you a buffer. So if you fell ill, if somebody needed you, if you had to take time off, you still have that bucket of 10 days that you can tap into to still reach your goal. Now, if you need to reach 125 people, and for those of you who will be joining in or are watching right now and you jumped in a little late, how we got the 125 is for every, the general rule is that for every 4 people that you speak with, 1 is going to say yes to you and 3 will say no. It's not personal. Do not take it personally. I like to say 5. So for every 5 people that you speak with, 1 is going to say yes, 4 will say no. And the main reasons why people say no is because of money and time. It's just not a priority, or they just don't see the value, or they don't see how they can achieve the results that you are promising. And so they'll say no. And it's okay. That's life. So, you only become really caught up in that if you only have a handful of people to speak with. Then it becomes personal because, you're kind of like putting all your hope on these 2-3 people. So the idea here is to just always think that, okay, so for every 5 people I speak with, 1 is going to say yes to me. And just use that as your general rule of thumb. Now, to actually speak to 5 people, you need to speak to an additional 5 people for each one. Because even though you set the appointments, even though you set up the dates, not every one of those people will show up for your appointment because of life. So we're looking at about 125 people to reach so that you can sell to your 5 people, so that you can make your $5,000. And how you reach the 125 people is through your marketing strategy. So this is where you pull out your calendar, and this is where you look and you say, well, how many networking events am I going to? Or how many networking events am I speaking at? How many Facebook Lives do I have scheduled to speak at? How many articles am I writing? How else am I reaching out? How many posters am I sending? How many flyers am I putting around? How many phone calls am I making? All of that. And even as I say this, you might be feeling a bit intimidated because you're thinking, I don't have the time to do all that, Julia. But again, what you can do is you can look at your calendar and say, well, what can I do? And I want you to always be in that frame of mind of what can I do? Can you do 1 hour in which you do a Facebook Live and send out your email marketing and all of that? Then just schedule that 1 hour in. Can you do another half hour where you just reach out to people, a couple of people, and see if you can get someone on the phone and see if you can get them excited about what it is that you offer? So slot those things in, and before you know it, you've put in 5 to 10 hours of marketing in your calendar. The other thing is your goal and your efforts have to match. So, if you have a pretty ambitious goal, and if you know that you need to sell X amount of dollars so that you can reach your goal, then know that you need to put in the effort that's equivalent to your goals. So, a lot of times when people don't hit their goals, like I was speaking with a lady and she was like, she hadn't hit her money goals and she was feeling quite discouraged. But when I asked her for all the activities that she had done, she pretty much had done nothing, absolutely nothing. Right? Like she had gone for 1 or 2 business events. Her email list was just sitting there dormant. No Facebook Lives. She hadn't contacted anyone, nothing. And so when I asked her, well, how are we supposed to hit our money goal if you don't put any effort in it? And she's like, I just think I thought I did enough. Right? But it's when you have things down on your calendar, and when you look at your numbers every day and you ask yourself, how many people have I reached out to? How many people have I spoken with? Then that will tell you the truth about whether you're going to hit your goal or not. Because if you don't do this intentionally, then you're sort of just waiting for luck. You're sort of waiting for things to happen for you. And if you do that, then you're always going to be living in that stage where you're really excited when money comes in, but you have no way of generating more. You have no idea how to generate more. And that will put you in a scarcity sort of mindset. And it's just not going to be good for you. And that's not what I want for you. So this is the business strategy. Let me know if you have any questions, post them. Maybe tomorrow is when I'm going to do a little bit more on the money mindset so that I can get you on the right track so that you can set and achieve your goals. As usual, the goal for me is I want you to make more money in your business. I want you to stop going to bed or waking up wondering how the heck you're supposed to reach out to clients, where you're supposed to find them, how you're supposed to make your money. And I want you to start getting into that frame of mind where you are powerful, where you are always thinking about what it is that you can do rather than what it is that you don't have. Now, there has been a death in my family, and I ask you to keep us in your prayers. And what this means is I'm going to be out of the continent in a few days until the beginning of October, or the second week of October. So Kenya, this is Kenya, East Africa, and this is where I was born and bred, and this is where like most of my family members are. They're 7 hours ahead. So what this means is that my posts, my Facebook posts, or lives or anything like that is going to be a little bit off for those of you on the Eastern Standard Time Zone. And that's again because I will be operating in Kenya time. So for example, right now it's 9 o'clock, right there. And so I wouldn't be doing a live at 9 o'clock, I don't think. So when I'll be doing it, maybe you'll be asleep, or it'll be too early, or it'll be too late, whatever the case may be, but just explaining a bit about that confusion. And something else with that is there are a lot of things that happen to us, all of us, that are not good, right? Like, so death or illness or anything like that. And for a lot of people, and do take the time that you need to deal with the things that are happening in your life. But one of the things that I have found has worked for me and for my family in general is that we very much keep a healthy perspective on life and on goals and on what we're trying to do. And that allows us to carry on in a way that we're not defeated by things that happen. Or so for example, this is where your value list also comes up. And this is why it's really important to know what's high on your value list. So when I say value list, I mean, you need to write down all the things that are important to you and number them from 1 to 10. So instead of going to Kenya, I was supposed to be going for a work event in California for 4 days. But when the death in the family occurred, for me, what was highest on my value list was to be with my family. And so that's why I switched my ticket from California to Kenya. And to be honest with you, at that moment, what that also did was validate for me the reason why I do what I do. You have to have a reason for what you do. So a lot of people will say, you know, I want to help women get better, or I want to help, you know, people learn how to do this and that, and that's great. But you also need to know for yourself why you're doing what you're doing and what that money is for. And for me, it's so that I can be with the people that I most love, my family. Family and friends are the highest things on my value list. So it's God, and then family and friends, and everything else comes under, right? So it's very important for me to be able to be there for the people that I love when they need me to be there. So for me, this was a validation point in which I'm like, this is why I do what I do. This is why I get up when I don't feel like it. This is why I put myself out there when I'd rather not. This is why I take the chances that I do when honestly it's easier not to. This is why I push hard in what I do rather than just settling, and for me it would be settling, in a 9 to 5. This is why I do what I do. So I don't want you to have something like that happen for you to really understand why you do what you do. I want you to already be in that position where you are not only financially free, but you're also fulfilled with your work, and you're happy that, so that even when things happen, you understand that you're still on the right path and you're still doing what it is that you were meant to do, and that you're still happy doing it. And that's really important. So I just wanted to share that little part there with you. Okay, so business strategy. Go ahead, write down exactly how you're going to make your money, and then write down also the feelings that come up around it. And you can ask me here in the comments under this post, or you can wait. I think it's tomorrow that we're doing the money mindset. Yep, should be tomorrow. And we're going to just dive in a little bit deeper around those kinds of issues. Okay, so have yourselves a great rest of the day or night, and we will chat soon.